I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound, chained by the caveman who keeps beauty down. Smacked on the ass when they're squalling and wet. Heir to a spineless man who never forget. Never forgets that he's a prisoner.
Peace and love. Welcome again to the NEPPC podcast. This is me, your brother and comrade in the struggle to free our political prisoners, Brother Frank of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. Today's episode, we focus on African Liberation Day, right? In 2022, it was the 50th anniversary of this historical moment where you have a number of people of African descent come together and raise awareness about African Liberation Day and the struggle to liberate ourselves. What does it mean to liberate people of African descent? That means that we are in control of our own destiny, that we have the right to self-determination, and that right needs to be protected by any and every means necessary. With this right, with this struggle to be liberated comes casualties. Those casualties are martyrs. Those casualties are political prisoners. So there's a direct relationship to political prisoners and the liberation struggle. So that leads us to today's discussion. Today's discussion is that, when you talk about Steve Biko, we talk about his position in which he put his life on the line to free his people. And he was a casualty of this particular struggle. And we have to recognize him and his contributions to that cause. And we fast forward to today, and we have people like Reverend Joy Powell. We have people like Kamal Siddiqui, people like Ronza Bowers that are still waiting to come home, who are part of this liberation struggle. We must not forget them. We have to, in fact, spend time, study them, write them, and make sure we do all we can to free them. Because just like we spoke in our previous discussion, we talk about what happened with Jordan Neely and the fact that you have political prisoners. They may not be incarcerated for the years that Reverend Joy Powell or Kamal Siddiqui or Ronza Bowers are incarcerated, but momentarily they are incarcerated because of their stance. They took a stance against injustice. They say that injustice will not be tolerated. Injustice will be met with force. And I'm willing to sacrifice my level of freedom. I'm willing to sacrifice my very life, if so be it, because for me to just ignore injustice and not confront it is to me to say that it's okay for people to be dealt with anyway. And that's unacceptable. So, we have to think about what's going on currently, and we have to ask ourselves, what do we intend to do when it comes to our political prisoners? We have to stand up and we have to fight back, and we have to take action when it comes to our political prisoners. One of the actions we can take is to write to our political prisoners. Today, if you happen to be in Queensbridge or you know somebody in Queensbridge, we're going to have a community support grieving group session. This particular session is going to be focusing on writing to political prisoners. One political prisoner in mine is going to be Veronza Bowers, because he wrote to Queensbridge, and he wrote about what he's done to help somebody deal with mental health issues. And he gave an example of this sister who was incarcerated because she chose to fight back, defend herself, say that somebody does not have a right to my body, only but me. And she dealt with that matter at the highest level possible, self-defense. And because that, the court said that she is going to be dealt with in the manner that they who are empowered feel that she need to be dealt with. And she was given a number of years. Veronza Bowers wrote her and asked if he could help, asked that he could be her big brother, provided some very detailed information about how she should approach her situation. He encouraged her to meditate, because this meditation was going to relax her, was going to take her mind to a different place other than what she was currently dealing with. How would he know? Well, he's been incarcerated for almost 50 years. So he's been dealing with all sorts of issues personally and outside of his personal day-to-day actions, right? You know, you're witnessing people break down, people who are going through a number of issues, and they are conflicting with others as they deal with these issues. And he took a position that he would not ignore this matter, but rather help. For those who want to write to political prisoners, there are a number of organizations that can provide you with information to get to these political prisoners. They're on the screen. For those who are not able to see what I'm posting on the screen, it's additional information on our political prisoner on themove.com, freekamal.com, and MatuluShakur.com. Matulu has been sent home or for compassionate release, and we give a Black Power salute to those who are and were involved in political prisoner work. We say power to the people for those who are involved and were involved in political prisoner work that led to his freedom. Because let us not fool ourselves. The state does not want to free our political prisoners. They want them all to die in prison. And that's why Sundiata Acoli's statement is very inspiring. It's very on to the point. He said that the state don't free political prisoners, the people do. So, you know, we have to be thankful for that, and we have to play our part. You know, there's various organizations that are doing their job. JerichoNY.org, the JerichoMovement.com, SundiataAcoli.org, RussellMaroonSchultz.wordpress.com, Imam Jamil ActionNetwork.weebly.com, FreeMumia.com, PrisonSolidarity.com. These are just contact information that you can get involved with to write to a political prisoner, follow their current status, and decide what you want to do and how you want to get involved. See, this is all part of that liberation struggle. So when we recognize African Liberation Day, we're actually recognizing what we've done to liberate ourselves. If you're talking about Zimbabwe, if you're talking about any African country that liberated themselves from their former colonizer, you're talking about liberation struggle. You're talking about armed struggle. You're talking about the means in which people have to take to free themselves. And this comes with casualties, as I said, you know, political prisoners and martyrs. And we have to recognize that, and we have to understand seriously, how bad do we want freedom? How bad do we want liberation? You know, what means are we going to go to? And we're encouraging others to take a stand. You know, as a child, you know, always taught to do the right thing. You know, there's a penalty for not doing the right thing, right? You see, continued struggle, continued pain, suffering, that's unnecessary. So we have to think about, you know, what are we going to do and what are we not going to do? And I think that that's very important because so many people are suffering that don't have to suffer. Brother Abdul Haq, you hear me?
Yeah, I'm on, brother. I had trouble with this technology.
Not a problem.
I'm on.
Not a problem. You're here now, brother. So how you doing?
I'm cool. I'm cool in the gang, brother.
All
You
right,
know?
we're not at our usually studio location. You're at your location, and I'm at another studio that we have where we have access to the necessary material to produce what we need to produce, which is advocating for our political prisoners. So, brother,
Yeah.
you know, just let's talk about African Liberation Day. What do you remember about it in terms of research, and you know, what does that mean for us in 2023 regarding liberation?
Well, brother, it's very, very meaningful for new African people. You know, it has a lot of meaning. It's a great day. You know, it's a day that we came up with. It ain't something imposed by the enemy. You know, some so-called holy day. You know, it signifies great leaps in our struggle for freedom. You know, African nations fighting for their independence through armed struggle, you know, and gaining their independence from lowlifes like France, the Dutch, Holland, Britain, you understand, overcoming white supremacy. You know, there was a great celebration for African Liberation Day, 1972, Washington, D.C., hundreds of thousands of people, you know, powerful speakers, you know, attended, and you know, the crowd, you understand, was very, very receptive, you know, and you know, it went like lightning throughout the land. You know, or what Brother Wausu spoke, Alambe Brath.
Yeah, Alambe Brad's speech was very powerful because I know he was talking about the various colonizers and naming them.
Yeah, yep. Colony like France, the Dutch, England. You know, England was among the worst. You know, but we broke free of all that. You know. And like I said, hundreds of thousands of people were there, you know, and we're having African Liberation Day coming up again in on May 27th, Saturday, May 27th.
Yeah.
And you know, African people should you know, mark that day down. And if you're not in New York area to attend our celebration, you know, to make a celebration of your own, you know, and the
provide the location of this African Liberation Day celebration. It's going to be Bedford Restoration Plaza and Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, from the hours of 3 to 6.
That's correct, brother.
By December 12th movement.
Yeah, that's correct. So the folks in New York area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, you know, come on to that one. And if you're too far away, you know, make one of your own. You know,
yeah,
and
it should be an expression of solidarity. Because what I was saying before you came on is that, you know, we learn from the past so we can know what to do for the present. And that's why it's very important that we continue to have these moments, because, you know, it's a commemoration, right? If we don't just stay stuck on celebrating, we say that, okay, we got to get refueled. We got to remind ourselves that the task at hand is not over, that we got to continue to fight ahead, because there's another generation that's coming after us that doesn't need to inherit these problems.
Yeah, you know, and they need to know, you need to know the glory of our successes, you know, and you need to know the fight and put the fight in them, you know, to develop that power. You know, we love Black power. If we love ourselves, we got to love Black power. And the liberation of African nations was an act of power carried out by superheroes, you know, and these superheroes, shared the aspirations and the consciousness of the political prisoners that we talk about every week. You know, people like Sekou Odinga, Joy Powell, you know, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, you know, and others.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, because you know, our political prisoners sacrifice so much. So we have to remember them, we have to rank them, and we have to make sure that they are not forgotten about regarding our liberation struggle. Because if we forget about them, then what does that say for future political prisoners or anybody who thinks about taking up the cause of liberation struggle? They're going to be hesitant. They're going to say, "Oh, if that happened to them, what's going to happen to me?" People are just forgotten about, and I think that's what we need to understand.
Forgotten about. Right. And during the struggle for African liberation, there were people who became political prisoners and became martyrs. You know, Patrice Lumumba, you know,
Steve
Larry
Biko.
Devlin, Steve Biko, you understand, who was killed in prison. You know, Amilcar Cabral fought for the liberation of Guinea-Bissau. You know, Nelson Mandela, who did 26 years in prison, who America played a role in having him arrested and incarcerated, and then want to celebrate him when he got out. Very, very hypocritical. America is an enemy to Africa, enemy to African liberation. You know, America, you understand, staged the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, Larry Devlin, CIA operative, you know, told that it was President Dwight D. Eisenhower who put out the hit on Patrice Lumumba, you know, whose crime to them was to say that the resources of Africa need to benefit African people, you know. The Negro, Obama, you know, in the Black community, you know, we have many, many mothers who tell their child, "You're going to be the first Black president." So what does the first Black president do? The first Black president, you understand, assassinates a brother who benefited all of Africa, who gave wealth away to Black Africa. That was the main beef of the reactionaries. You understand? Brother Gaddafi, you know, the Obama, you know, after all this, you know, we're going to have a Black president. So what did it turn out? He ain't doing nothing but following out the rules of the colonizer. You know, so we got to be crystal clear that the USA is the enemy to African people. America, you know, was making $1.7 billion off of South Africa. You know, corporations like IBM, General Electric, Coca-Cola, you know, and others. I got a list here. Mobil, General Motors, you know, making buku billions off of South Africa, and now America wanted to pretend that it had such a great energy to come with divestment, which they were forced to do because of the opinion of the world. The opinion of the world was against the racist apartheid system, you know, that America was heavily invested in, you know, played a very, very big role in carrying out. And so we got to be crystal clear on the relationship between America, you know, and African liberation struggles, and at the same time be clear that America, you understand, was instrumental in the assassination and the incarceration of our freedom fighters. Freedom fighters, like I say, who were superheroes, who shared, you know, the consciousness and the objectives of our freedom fighters today. And we say free them all.
Absolutely, we say free them all. That's very important that you gave a concrete analysis of concrete conditions, because people have to be reminded of, you know, the consistent attack on them and what needs to be response, because you name certain corporations that are involved in our oppression, and they have a very a strong position regarding our oppression, and we need to respond back. And we respond by refraining from contributing to their profit, and which we can do by not buying a particular product and or going to a particular place, because we have to look at what's going in our interests or what's against our interests, and then we have to do that accordingly. And I think that that's why it's so crucial that we struggle to build a strong relationship with our political prisoners, because when we write to a political prisoner, like we get to understand their perspective on things, but right, because they're in a position where they're dealing with less distractions, right? Not to say that they're in a better position than ours, because they're still dealing with the hostilities of the penitentiary, right? But they have less distractions because they have more restrictions imposed on them because of their situation of incarceration. And I think that that allows them to focus sharper on what's going on and be a better asset or a more powerful asset to their people and their people's struggle. So when we write to political prisoners, we get to hear what they're saying regarding the situation of oppressed people and what oppressed people need to do regarding liberation, meaning that they should have some serious studies on various books that deal with capitalism and its means of operating, and they need to apply that to their reality regarding a further understanding of how they need to deal with capitalism. And when they raise their consciousness, then the individual who's involved in the study, then they raise the consciousness of people around them by engaging a different level of conversation, a conversation that's about taking action, doing something, as opposed to a conversation that's merely about entertainment and continuous stimulation of your mind in terms of being able to express articulately an idea. And that has to be understood, because you might be talking and having a great conversation, but the conversation leads to nothing. And we have to have conversations that's going to lead to a particular action. We have to have relationships that's built on principles and expressed or manifested in deeds, right? Because if you stand on something that's correct, and it's going to be expressed in your action, your deeds. And that's why when we talk about political prisoners, right, we can have conversations about political prisoners, but if we ain't make a commitment to an organization, to freedom, then are we really compassionate about political prisoners? We talk about African liberation, and if we're not involved in an organization that is struggling for African liberation, then are we really about African liberation? We have to question ourselves, and we have to question those who make certain statements. Of course, you could do it creatively, right? Somebody says something, they'll be like, well, I'm going to this program today. Are you going to be with us? You are more than welcome to go to that program. Or you say that, listen, there's this political prisoners that we need to be writing to, and we write to him and we let him know that he is not forgotten or she is not forgotten. And once we do this, then we build a relationship, and we make sure that they are in the right space in terms of their mental space, because to be ignored and forgotten, that could definitely have an impact on the status of your mental health. Now, I say what I say to say that accountability is key. Accountability into how we deal with our oppression, and how we deal with the casualties in our oppression, and what does that say about us, and how does that change our reality? Brother, I noticed that when they had the first African Liberation Day demonstration, and those thousands of people were there, they said, we are an African people. They said it as a collective, in unison, in solidarity. And I think that that's important. And that's why when we say don't let political prisoners die in prison, we need to mean that. We need to say that. It needs to be a lifestyle. When we say free them all, we need to say that. We need to mean that. We need to say that. together. And brother, when you see that image and when you watch that video of the first African Liberation Day struggle, what do you get from it, and what do you what would you tell other peoples they should get from it, or how they should be inspired?
Yeah. Well, seeing hundreds of thousands of people saying we are an African people, you know, it's very, very heartwarming, because I remember a time when I was growing up when people denied being African, you know, when it was signifying, you know, to say that you was an African, you know, and, you know, raising of consciousness, you know, we begin to love being African, you know. At the time we denied being African, there were people who were enemies to our people, you know, racists, white supremacists, who said they was African, you know, because they wanted the wealth of the land, you know. And us saying that we're not Africans, we had no idea of the rich resources, you understand, on the African continent, places like the Congo in South Africa. The Congo, you understand, which contains more mineral wealth than any other. And a lot of us, not knowing that, did not know the shenanigans and the criminality that was going down by the enemy, you know, having our leadership assassinated and embracing an enemy like Mobutu. You know, they love enemies like Mobutu, you know, any Uncle Thomas, you know, they love them, you know, but we have black shining heroes, you understand? And it has become very, very like a rising sun among our people now to understand that we are Africans, you understand, and that we lay claim, you know, to what is ours, you know, and we continue to fight to raise this consciousness, to continue the process of liberating the continent and liberating the minds of our people. So I say it's a beautiful thing, you understand, to see multitudes of our people coming together with a consciousness, with a purposeness, and a fight in them, you understand, to free the continent. And freeing the continent, you know, means, you know, freeing those who become prisoners, become martyrs over there, and freeing those over here, you know, who fight for us to be free in America.
Yes, that's a very important statement, right? You know,
the land of the slave.
Yeah, when you taking action, when you're doing something, when you're very much engaged, and you saying that I'm not only am I going to be involved, but I'm gonna involve my family. You know, you share with your family. You know, you deal with them at the level of consciousness they're at. You know, not everybody's gonna go to every rallies. Not everybody's gonna give out every leaflet. Not everybody's gonna read every book that's about our oppression and our liberation struggle. But once you conduct yourself a certain way, they taking notice, right? They are aware that you are committed to something, and it's raising a certain level of curiosity in them. It might not be at the level that you want it to be, but it's there and it's developing, and they are made to face that reality or ask themselves some questions regarding the type of commitment you're making. Like they'll ask themselves, are you right or are you wrong? Right? Or that's just him. They might say, oh, wow, he's doing that for a reason. Wow, this just happened to this person. I see what this person in my family is talking about. This person is definitely making sense. Maybe I need to try to support him or her in a different way. Maybe I might not be able to go to something, but I could donate something, or I could share something with somebody of like minds. And doing so, I'm doing my part. You know, and we have to, we have to accept that, right? We push them as far as they want to be pushed. We let them know we're very appreciative of what they're doing. And we let them know also that, you know, they need to pay attention to what we're doing. And they need to let others know what we're doing, because, you know, in this type of work, you know, nobody know what can happen, right? I don't think political prisoners expected to be political prisoners. It came with the level of commitment that they made or they make. And you know, we have to deal with that, regardless of who, what, where, and why. We have to accept what's going to happen, and we accepting that means that we let others know that this is who we are and this is what we accept, and we're going to continue until you know, what we want is done. So, brother, what needed to be said has been said. We can conclude this episode with words of encouragement.
Remind them again about Saturday, brother.
Yes, Saturday is going to be at Restoration Plaza. If you need any additional information, contact me at 347-679-3936. It's going to be from the hours of 3 to 9. It's held by the December 12th movement.
3 to 6.
3 to 6. 3 to 6.
Oh, yo, come on out.
Yes, 3 to 6. Come on out. You could go to www.d12.com. D12M.com if you need additional information. That's www.d12m.com if you want additional information. That's this Saturday's African Liberation Day celebration.
And if you got some African clothes, wear them.
Yes, yes. We are an African people.
We are an African people. What's
All
it
right,
called?
brother.
Free them all.
Yes. What's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?
Free them all.